Suns fired Monty Williams. That's the breaking news. It's live on the show. So what happens now for Phoenix?
Wait, what's $70 in euro? What's that?
It's a good conversion for US.
It's solid. It's almost $1.
It's about the same. I think that, in my opinion, I'll still say this. Nick Nurse is the best available head coach that there is. If you are a team that needs a head coach, you look at Nick Nurse as the best available option. I'm the Phoenix Suns. If I'm the Phoenix Suns, if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, these are the two teams that I look for Nick Nurse to be in heavy conversations for. The Phoenix Suns, we spoke about it ad nauseum already, that they need role players. Forget about trying to put another star around KD and Booker. You need role players to surround these two guys. You need better defensive play. You need guys that can knock down the three ball, that can space the floor. And you need players that are going to want to play for the Phoenix Suns, not guys like DeAndre Ayton, for prime example. So it's going to be a coach that's going to try to get the most out of these players. It seemed like Monty kind of lost the locker room, and a guy who's the number 1 overall pick to lose his drive and his motivation for the game of basketball, to have a bench player come in and take his minutes and be effective. That just speaks more so to how you kind of lose the team, and more so that's more on Landale than it is on Monty, really. So
he didn't have much of a choice.
No, for
he
sure.
was playing better.
For sure, he was. So I think it's more so someone that's going to come here and demand respect. And I think that'll be a Nick Nurse. That'll be although I don't think that he's the best head coach, in my opinion, a Budenholzer. Someone that really is going to come in and demand respect.
Listen, how I feel about this is I'm not surprised. Monty Williams, he's done some great things for Phoenix.
Absolutely.
He's the reason why they are finally a relevant team. Started with the undefeated streak in the bubble, then transferred over to the 2021 season where they made the NBA Finals. Monty Williams has always been questionable in terms of his rotations. He is a bit too loyal to guys that he shouldn't be. Landry Shamet is a prime example of that.
Facts.
I think this team just needed a different voice. And what this tells me is that, one, Matt Ishba is serious. He wants to win now. He's not happy with the second-round exit. So the fact that the Suns have an owner that cares about winning, that to this point shows signs of being functional and being aggressive and making moves, is a good sign. What I'm interested to see in all of this is what happens with DeAndre Ayton, because I think a big part of DeAndre Ayton's drop-off in his effort was Monty Williams. After the 2022 playoffs, Ayton doesn't talk to Monty Williams for months. They don't talk at all in the offseason. And it feels like DeAndre Ayton and Monty Williams have been clashing heads in that locker room for a while. So maybe bringing in a new head coach. Maybe it's Nick Nurse. Maybe it's Tyronn Lue, who the Suns are trying to lure away from the Clippers. Maybe they bring a different side of Ayton that we haven't seen yet, and this could be the positive. I still do think that Chris Paul will not be a part of this team. I think he's too unreliable from a health standpoint, and given his age, he just doesn't offer you enough given his age right now. But I like this move a lot. I think they needed a new voice. And my girl told me they fired some scouts. Like, they fired a bunch of scouts from the Suns, too.
Really?
She locked in.
And another thing that I want to say is the leash that head coaches have in today's NBA is so minimal. Like, you have one bad season, it'll change the entire perspective of how a front office can see you. And then you're gone. We've seen head coaches win NBA championships.
Monty got
and still get fired.
Back-to-back years.
I don't disagree. And listen, I'm here saying that I understand where they're coming from, but I can also sit here and say there is such minimal room for error if you're a head coach nowadays.
Can I ask you a question?
Talk to me.
So Monty got outcoached in Dallas, I think, after game 2.
Yes, no doubt. Easily.
Do we think Monty got outcoached against the Clippers, or the Suns just had better talent? Or they just had the better two-way players?
I think that
he got outcoached.
He got outcoached.
For sure.
And then he also got outcoached against Denver. That's 3.
He got outcoached by Mike Budenholzer,
Getting
too.
out, and that's the biggest fault in my opinion.
That's 4. Well, aside from the
Not
first
just
round
because it's the
against
finals,
the Pels.
because Budenholzer gets outcoached more often.
That's 4 in his last 5 series.
You look at the Suns, and 2021 was their finals run. In the first round, the Lakers got injured. In the second round, they faced the Nuggets with no Jamal Murray, and MPJ had a bad series that year.
Tyloo Fig outcoached him in that one, too.
And then in the Western Conference Finals, without Kawhi Leonard, they take you to 6 games. It could have been 7 had it not been for a game winning tipping by DeAndre Ayton at the basket.
Game 2.
So, there are a lot of it shows that if the Suns don't have overwhelming talent, they're not going to win. If teams are not injured, they're not going to win. So right now, it just shows that they need a coach that's going to maximize the talent, because when you have Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, you're not going to have the best depth around them. So you have to get the most out of the players you do have.
Yeah, and the windows are just so small. Like, especially for them, Kevin Durant, he's in his mid-30s now. He's had injury problems. But also it could go the opposite, right? Budenholzer was going to get fired. He goes and wins a championship that you survive a couple more seasons. And for Monty, even this season, they beat the Clippers in 5, right? 5? It was 5?
5. Respect Kawhi.
But it was still those games with Kawhi and without Kawhi, all of those. Exactly. Like, obviously, they win the series. You win in 5. You're going to look back history, be like, oh, they won in 5, whatever. But all those games were close. Ty Lue was pushing all the right buttons. And if Kawhi's healthy or Paul George, that could easily be a 6 or 7, win series for the Clippers.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think, like I said, 4 out of the 5 of your last series, you've been outcoached. And the reason why you won some of them is because you've had your team wasn't injured. Against the Bucks, you got outcoached. Dallas outcoached. Clippers outcoached. Denver outcoached. I think you have.
Did he really get outcoached against Denver?
I think.
I feel like it was a skill issue.
I think Mike Malone outcoached him, but we can agree to disagree. But that's also another problem.
I'll give some pushback with the Nuggets series because Denver was a better team. And you can't control your players shooting 22% from three.
I think they were a better team, but also Mike Malone's defensive scheme was really, really good. But to say all that, even then, like you said, they didn't have enough talent, and that's also another problem. You have money allocated to Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, DeAndre, and you got to find a way to get Chris Paul off this roster. You have to find a way to make DeAndre.
Chris Paul, though.
You can, but what are you going to get back? That's the thing. And
that's
the thing.
I think as long as you get a role player for Chris Paul, it's a win.
But who's the you? That I don't know if that's a win because they just had a bunch of role players on the roster.
Because you don't have any picks. You don't have any picks to attach to him, and whoever's taking on Chris Paul is probably a championship level team. Who's like, we need a veteran presence.
I want to push back on this notion, and Drew mentioned earlier. Out the picks that Phoenix gave to Brooklyn was a lot. It was. It's Kevin Durant. I don't think they gave up their depth for him, though. Jay Crowder wasn't playing for Phoenix anyway.
It was Bridges and Cam.
It was two players.
But Jay Crowder went to
Milwaukee.
But you got to remember, they gave up their depth. Not their depth. They gave up the 2 wings, and they also created a cripple of their team because now they don't have draft capital.
Because now those guys are out, and you got to insert Josh Okogie or insert Landry.
Yeah, that's fine. But even with Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson on this team, because Jay Crowder was not going to play for them at all.
Terrible.
Even with Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges, the ceiling is much less. I don't think Mikal Bridges becomes this player in Phoenix.
The ceiling for Phoenix, even when they got Kevin Durant, was the same. Well,
I think it's higher for sure.
But this roster?
I think, now
it gives you KD, and now you go in the offseason and you fill out the team.
Now this gives you a chance to go into the offseason and now get the surrounding parts needed to compete. Yeah. I think with Mikal and Cam Johnson, given Cam Johnson was approaching restricted free agency, so he was going to get an offer sheet. They had to probably match, and who knows how much it was going to be. I think you're trading 2 players for a top 10 player.
But the ceiling in theory should be higher. But when you give up 2 players and then all the draft capital, and now Chris Paul's aging, Ayton doesn't want to be there. You have a lot of holes you have to fill. No, I'm just saying you have a lot of holes you have to fill. Getting Kevin Durant, you make that move 10 times out of 10. It's Kevin Durant. Yeah. But at the same time, the ceiling still ended up inevitably being the same ceiling you had with the role players, which is second round.
I mean, hindsight is 2020.
For this season.
But next year, Kevin Durant gets older. Now you have no draft capital. He's going to be fine, is what we keep saying every year.
But the Suns
in the regular season, but not when it matters, which is the problem.
Was the issue this series about Kevin Durant?
Kevin Durant was a part of the problem.
It was, but
offensively.
But also, don't you think that getting a new head coach in there now,
new voice,
there's new voice, but not only that, but now it's potentially a coach that can get Kevin Durant into better spots offensively. Because Monty wasn't running an actual offense.
That's going to come with who he brings on the roster. I'm more interested in what they do in free agency than their coach.
And maybe, like you said, Ayton could open some shit up too.
The Suns have the ability to sign a mid-level exception free agent, which could be valuable.
For sure.
And, who knows? Maybe they do trade Ayton and Chris Paul to get something back for him. I think
they're going to reshape it.
I just don't think this to me was not Clippers trading SGA, Gallinari, and 10 years worth of draft picks for Paul George. I don't think it was.
It's the same thing.
I don't think, not even close.
Same thing?
Wait, how many picks did
they give up? 4.
They gave up 4 for 2 players. No, I'm sorry. How many did the Clippers give up?
Oh my God.
Because the Clippers have like their 2027 pick, right?
I think they gave up a ton.
They gave up so many.
But they gave up so many for 2 players. essentially.
For one, though.
No, it was 2 players.
I guess if you want to look
T.J.
at
Warren and Kevin Durant.
No, I'm talking about the Clippers.
He's saying the Clippers did this for Kawhi and Paul George.
You have to, because if they don't get Paul George, they don't get Kawhi.
That's what makes it kind of
better. The Clippers
is
still worse. It's still worse. Undoubtedly, it's still worse.
Max said KD knows how to go to a team and ruin it.
Pain.
Yeah, so it was Clippers received Paul George for Gallinari, SGA, 2021 first round pick, which was Trey Mann.
Was it
2022 first round pick, which became Jalen Williams. 2023 first round pick via Heat. 2023 first round pick swap. 2024 first round pick. 2025 first round pick. 2026 first round pick.
I wish I could be.
Oh my
I wish
Lord.
I could be in the room when they're just asking for first after first after first after first.
SGA is the killer.
Crazy.
It's
SGA is the killer.
Come on.
Like, I love Mikal, but I don't think he's going to become that.
No.
Probably not. No.
So if you're able to trade, because Mikal
I think they're both bad.
Mikal on the Suns is a utility role player who, he was going to average 18, 19. So I think it was still a fair trade, even though people act like they just gave up a haul for KD.
Oh, listen, I think
the picks was a lot.
I think this very blatantly. If the Suns don't win a championship, it's a failure trade.
They might not even get to the WCF.
So they have until Kevin Durant retires for them
to leaves or.
I mean, every team that trades for a star player doesn't result in a championship is a failure.
Agreed.
I think.
Agreed.
Same thing for the Cavs and Donovan Mitchell.
Agreed.
I think if.
Yes. Riv.
Championship.
Riv, stop. Yes.
I think that's
you don't
more
make that move to go to a
Like the
WCF.
no, but I think that move is more credited to not what, like we've mentioned, not what Donovan can do, but what the young players can do along with Donovan. I think if the young players don't pop, that's more of a failure than Donovan.
But the expectation was, Riv,
in a couple of years they should be finals contenders
because of their young players.
Yes.
But Donovan's gonna be what he's gonna be. It's more on the young, like it's different. Whereas Kevin Durant, he's the next piece up. Donovan is a part of it, but it's really the young.
Well, they got him to take them over the top.
Yeah, but it's really the young.
It was
the young guys.
It was the Cavaliers understood.
They needed another guy.
We have a young primetime guard in Darius Garland. We have the future at the forward position in Evan Mobley. Jared Allen is a fucking damn good center. Yeah. Now we add Donovan Mitchell. We should make some noise in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They didn't.
I lean that more. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's the same thing for the Clippers and Paul George. If the Clippers don't win, that's a failure.
And you look at what the Wolves did. They tried to make a move for Rudy Gobert because they thought that was going to put them over the top. That's just what happens when you look at players that are traded for multiple.
Win now trades have to be looked at in that lens.